Very good evening to all of you friends. In this particular video, we are going to learn about the human circulatory system. And in this particular video, we are going to only talk about the structure of heart. There are more factors involved in your human circulatory system, including your blood vessels, arteries, veins, and capillaries, and also your blood, but we have already talked about the blood. If you have not watched those videos, please go and watch them and then you can come to this video. So let's talk about heart. If we talk about its origin, it is mesodermal in origin. Mesodermal in origin. If you don't know what is mesoderm, there are three layers of your embryo: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. So heart is derived from this mesoderm. So that's why it is mesodermal in origin. If we talk about its composition, it is mainly made up of muscles called cardiac muscles. Mainly we can say myocardium. Okay, so then if we talk about its location, it is located in between lungs, slightly tilted towards the left side of the left lungs. Okay, then third thing, if we talk about its size, it is almost your size of clenched fist. Clenched fist means like this. Your heart size will be uh, around your clenched fist. If we talk about its structure, let's talk. Your heart has mainly four chambers. Okay, so here I am drawing. Your heart has four chambers. The chambers present above the heart, upper side of the heart, called atrium, and the chambers which are present on the down or below the atrium, called ventricles. So this is, if I stand like this will be my right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. Okay, so this is right ventricle, sorry, right atrium. This is left atrium. This is right ventricle. This is left ventricle, and this is atrium. Okay. Then these two atrium, right and left atrium, are separated by a wall called the interatriolar at sorry, interatriolar septum. Septum means a wall which separate two compartments. So this is interatriolar because it is present between two atrium, interatriolar septum. Then there is again wall present in between two ventricles called interventricular septum. Interventricular septum. Wall between two adjacent ventricles. Interatriolar septum, interventricular septum, which is separating both atrium and both the ventricles. Then again, there is wall present, a septum present, which separates atrium and ventricle of each side, called atrioventricular septum. Atrioventricular septum. Okay, atrioventricular septum, which separates atrium and ventricle of both the sides. uh, let's talk about how blood comes inside this heart, and how blood goes away from the heart. But before that, you have to see here, there is an opening present in between these atrium and ventricles. And these openings has some door like structures called walls, which opens on only one side, called tricuspid and bicuspid wall respectively. So the wall present between right atrium and right ventricle called tricuspid wall. This is tricuspid wall, and the wall present between left atrium and left ventricle called bicuspid wall, which has only two flap-like structure or cusps, we can say, the tricuspid and bicuspid wall. Then let's see how blood comes inside the right atrium. So in the right atrium, blood will come by two main veins called vena cava. Okay, so one brings blood, deoxygenated blood into the right atrium, which is called as superior vena cava. Superior vena cava. Cava. The vein which brings blood to right atrium from below side of your body called inferior vena cava. Called inferior vena cava. So both these vena cava will bring deoxygenated blood into your right atrium. So from where these veins are collecting the deoxygenated blood, so we all know that your all tissues and the cells need oxygen for survival or to extract energy from nutrients and to make ATP. They will extract the all oxygen into the blood from the blood, and they will secrete their CO2 in the blood, and this blood will come ultimately in the vena cava, and this blood having more CO2 concentration, which is deoxygenated, will come inside the right atrium. Then when right atrium when atrium contracts, blood comes inside the this wall opens, and this blood, deoxygenated blood, will come inside the right ventricle. Okay, so then when ventricle contracts, so ventricle, you have to remember one thing: ventricles are more thick walled than this right atrium. Atrium are relatively smaller than ventricles. Second thing you have to remember, this wall, the interventricular septum, is also thicker than interatrial septum. Then when deoxygenated blood reaches to the right ventricle, it will be transported to lungs through the artery called pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. So deoxygenated blood needs to be oxygenated. So who will be responsible to oxygenate him? The lungs. So this blood should be transported to the lungs, and the arteries which are transporting this blood towards the lungs called pulmonary. Pulmonary is a term which we use related to the arteries or vessels which goes towards the which comes from the lungs, called pulmonary artery, which will eventually bring this blood towards the lungs. This is pulmonary artery. Let's see what are these left atrium and ventricles are doing. Then lungs will be helping this deoxygenated blood to turn into the oxygenated blood. Then oxygen will diffuse from lungs to the blood, and blood will turn into the oxygenated, and this blood will again come back to the heart in this left atrium. And who will bring the oxygenated blood? The oxygenated blood is bring by the vein called pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. because it is bringing oxygenated blood towards the heart, right? So pulmonary vein will bring oxygen to the left atrium. Then when atrium contracts, this oxygenated blood will come to the left ventricle when this uh, bicuspid wall opens. Then when left ventricle or ventricles contracts togetherly, actually when ventricles contracts, this oxygenated blood will be transported to the body with the help of aorta. So aorta will eventually actually it transports the blood towards the body like this. This is aorta, let's say. Okay. So this is all about the human heart. I hope it is helpful to you. Let me just revise it. Your heart is made up of four chambers: right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. These chambers are separated by wall called interatrial septum, which is thinner than interventricular septum. Interventricular septum is little thicker. Then each side of atrium and ventricle are also separated by wall called atrioventricular septum. Then atrioventricular septum has a wall called tricuspid wall, three flap-like structure. Then left atrium ventricle be this opening will be having bicuspid wall. Okay, deoxygenated blood is comes into the right atrium with the help of superior and inferior vena cava. Then when atrium contracts, this wall opens and blood comes into the right ventricle. Then right ventricle will transport this deoxygenated blood towards the lungs with the help of pulmonary artery. Then lungs will be oxygenating this blood. Then oxygenated blood will again come back to the left atrium with the help of pulmonary vein. Then when atrium contracts, this wall will open and the oxygenated blood will come into the left ventricle. Then when ventricles contract, this oxygenated blood will be transported to the body through the aorta and the branches of the aorta. So this is all about. One more thing you have to remember here, your heart has a covering called pericardium. So your heart has covering called pericardium. Okay, so this was about it for this video. We will talk about the nodal tissues in the next video. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends. Thank you so much. We will meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye.